Good morning, Academy 55 premium members and everybody else who's watching the recording, and also to all those watching on YouTube. David Kahn here on Tuesday, the 19th of August. It's now 4 minutes to 8 in the morning. We're looking at the Academy 55 indicators on the 1 minute time frame. Following those indicators and following the EUR USD currency pair. Looking to get 2% on a trade with a 1% risk. All trades taken are for educational purposes only, as I always say. But so let's have a quick look on the 5 minute time frame. As you can see, we have our zones that are part of the Academy 55 indicated system. And what we do is we wait for price to get into those zones. And at 7 o'clock, it did indeed go into the buy zone. So we know to take the next buy. So what happens at 15 minutes past 7, we have the next buy. We wait for a green trend, green volume ribbon, green wave. There's where the stop loss goes. I waited for price to get above the purple line, and we went for a nice 2% win. If that was you, then according to our rules, you're only allowed to trade one or twice a day. So you've done your trade. So for the rest of it, it's just for watching purposes. But for the rest of us, we now carry on and look at the higher time frames. Starting with the daily, I like to see sorry, take the indicators off first because that confuses otherwise. And what can we see on the daily? Well, there are no, see, that would have been imbalanced, but that wick there stopped that from being imbalanced, but we got imbalanced down here. But that is so far away now from price, we don't actually bother with that at the moment. We're only really concerned about things that are within 50 pips region of price. And on the daily chart, that is actually 27. Yeah, that is a good 300 odd pips away, so we don't concern ourselves with that. But what we can see is on the daily, we've got a zone that's happening on the daily. We could, like I say, not going to mark it up because it's so far away but price is stuck in this zone. It has been for a few days now. So we go down to the 4 hourly, and that is more prominent now, that zone. But we have I think I'll mark this out. We have a wee bit of imbalance. Imbalance is where the market has gone one way without balancing itself out. In other words, on this candle here, that red one, it's all been sell. Instead of no buys. So market loves balance. And just here, I can see a key zone area with 3 zeros. That's a psychological level the price likes to get to. So is price looking to tap into that before coming back down again? So I'm going to put this on the line chart. And like I say, where I drew that there on the key zone level, that's an important level. And where price is now is an important level, because we've got, it's been resistance here and yet support there. And that's where price is right now. So that's prudent to sort of put that there. So I'll put it back onto the, no, we'll go onto the hourly. See if we can see any more of these points worth noting. And we got a point here. These are areas to watch out for. So we have resistance there, resistance there. So that area is obviously pretty important. Also, just here also, sort of stalled there, and it became resistance there. So we'll mark that up as well. That's enough lines. We don't want to make it look like London Tube. Anyway, so we go back onto the candles, put it on the 5-minute time frame. And now we can mark up the zones. So we have a sell zone there. And we have a buy zone here. So now we've got a little bit more of an idea what price could be doing and why it sometimes stops in certain areas, because we've got this line here, support and resistance line at 1.16673. We've got this support and resistance line at 1.16740. And then we got another one at 1.16817. And we got the imbalance here. So is price looking to take some orders from this sell zone, tap into the imbalance maybe, and then come back down again? Or has it got enough strength to carry on? It all depends on the state of the euro and the dollar at the time it does that, and what the bigger picture is, what their intentions are. Of course, we don't know that. We just follow in the footsteps. So I'm going to go down to the minute, put the indicators back on. As you can see, that support and resistance line that we put in there, that price did stall along there for a little while, and now it's become sort of a support. But we only want 2% at the end of the, we only want 10, 12 pips at the end of the day. So it's nice to know, have a rough idea what you think price might be doing now and why it does it. Knowledge is power, they say. Nice to see so many people on this morning. But we've marked the chart up now. We know this is the sell zone. And this is the scenario, that's the sell zone. But if price was to turn around and get a sell, it would need to go all the way down here. They've changed the bias it's into a buy bias now because we're above the purple line, which is the EMA 462. So there is a buy bias at the moment. And sometimes these buy biases can go on for a long, long time. If this is all sounding confusing to you, the Academy 55 system is designed not to be so confusing, really. This is just a little bit of external information. But what we got a concern on is if we was to go for a sell, just like here, we need the trend line to turn red, the volume ribbon to turn red, that all important red sell alert, and the wave to turn red. And then you mark out your stop loss. Your stop loss will be the wave because that will be nearest to the entry, and down you go. Similarly with the buy, waiting for that all important buy alert, green trend line, green volume ribbon, green wave, power RSI is below price, and that's where you put your stop loss because the wave is closest to the entry, and up we go for 2%. So that's the basis of the Academy 55 system. Everything else that I've marked up and told you is external information, not to confuse you, but to give you extra power and an insight of why price goes to certain areas. And it'll be prudent to, if he was into a trade, for example, if he was into a trade and we already put that support and resistance and we was into a trade and price was coming here, if it starts stalling, there is a possibility that it could be bounced a little bit. And if there's enough volume, obviously you might be in a situation where, sorry, it's there now, but if it got to there and it goes along, it might be in a situation where if there's not enough volume at that time of the day to bring it on down, it might be coming to visit this purple line, but it could go up, meander, and come back down again, especially because, well, that imbalance would have been filled, wouldn't it? But you've got imbalance down here now, so that would give you some sort of confirmation, not confirmation, but a little bit more of an insight. The price could come down to fill out that imbalance on that candle there, and your 2% is in the way. So that gives you a bit of a inkling, maybe that's what might happen, but price you're never quite sure. So the price gets down to there, you may feel it prudent to put your stop loss to your entry to have a risk-free trade just in case it bounces and goes back up again. Or if there's enough volume at that time, it'll come down here. So these lines are just to give you a bit of more of an idea of what could be happening with price. But they're not there to confuse you. And if you feel confused in any way, just stick to the zones, like the sell zone and the buy zone. And go with that. So while we wait for something to happen, perhaps we will actually play this. Tell you where to find all the information you need on Academy 55. And here's Steve, my business partner, to tell you that.
Hi, this is Steve with a very short video to show you where to get the training for the indicators and tools we use inside Academy 55. So once you're logged into the members area, you'll see in the premium dashboard this section that's entitled Start Learning. And if you click here, that'll take you through to the learning library. Now, we'll say at this point, we highly recommend you watch each of these videos 2 or 3 times to get a full understanding of how everything works. Here you'll find tutorials on using the MT4 Trade Assistant and how to use the MT4 platform with the Trade Assistant. This is the longest video you'll find inside the platform. It's around 30 minutes long, well worth your time. Watch the video once, then maybe write a few questions down that you might have for yourself, and watch the video for a second time, and things will really start to make sense. By the time you watch it 3 times, you'll fully understand how everything works. So that's the longest video. It's about 30 minutes long, well worth your time. And then you can jump into individual trainings here for how to remove indicators. These videos are just a couple of minutes long. How to move MetaTrader around like you can in TradingView, Trading Assistant controls, how to do back testing in TradingView, how to draw vertical lines to mark out your hour, and so much more. And by the time you watch this video or see this video, there might be other trainings in this section. But everything here is well worth your time, and you find that, as I said a moment ago, from the main dashboard in the Start Learning section. Now, one more thing just to mention here. If you're looking for anything in particular, if you come down to the support name of FAQs, click on Get Support, and in this area you'll find a detailed FAQ section, and you can come through here. For example, if you're looking for an answer to a question about MetaTrader, have a look through these, and once you click through you'll find direct links to videos that give you answers to most of the questions that we get asked on a regular basis. So hopefully you found this useful, and back to your further training.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. So, yeah, we haven't missed a thing. I had another monitor on just in case anything did happen, but we haven't missed anything. This is a scenario for a sell. So we've got something this week called the Jackson Hole Symposium. Now, this is where I don't know too much about it, to be honest, but this is where all the bankers around the world get together and discuss various things. And the footnote is that, hang on, I'll show you. Let's get this up here. It's not till Friday, or Thursday and Friday. Let me just bring the monitor in a minute. So as far as I can tell, it's like a 24/7 thing, because you got banks around the world discussing various issues, and they release information to reporters and whatever, and it can make it very volatile. There we go, Jackson Hole Symposium. High risk, starts at 1 o'clock in the morning. Well, on Friday it does, because it's for bankers all around the world. It's a funny old name, Jackson Hole Symposium. Read up about that, but it turns, my understanding, it turns the market all very volatile, because they release information, and that goes on Thursday as well. It's the same, but it's a medium risk, but you never quite know. And it turns the market very volatile. So I won't be trading at all on Friday, and be very wary on the Thursday as well. But now, getting back to what we're here for, we're looking for the next sell. So I'm going to switch my MT4 on at this stage. And as you can see, we've got the same indicators on the MT4. And I want a minimum of 2.2 pips. So I'll write in 22 there. So that indicates 2.2. Looking for a sell. So I make sure my risk to reward, this is our trade assistant that we use, which is invaluable. So we make sure that's in purple. The lot calc is in purple because that calculates what lot size you should use. And in there, we only risk 1% per trade. And to learn how to use the trade assistant, that is all in the back office of the Academy 55. So go and have a look. And as Steve says, play these videos 2 or 3 times so you really get it. But trade assistant is invaluable for us. Like I say, it calculates, because when you're on the minute, you haven't got, well, you have to make time, obviously, but you don't have to bother with calculating what lot size you need for your account size, because it does it for you automatically, and it automatically stays 1% away. The stop loss there, look, and your 2% there. And incidentally, the other commodity we use is the US 100, which is also known as the NAS 100. But for that, we use 2,000 units. It's no longer pips, it's units. Exactly the same before, risk to reward in purple, lot calc in purple, 1%. But 2,000 units is the equivalent of 2 pips from the EUR USD. And that's why we use 2,000 units minimum for the US 100. And I sometimes trade that after 2:30 in the afternoon here in the UK, because that is equivalent of the New York Stock Exchange opening, and that's when the volume really kicks in. So that's when I sometimes like to trade that, but exactly the same rules. Waiting for red, 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 green, green, green. As I said, the Academy 55 system is designed to be as simple as possible, i.e. that's why we only use the one Forex pair and the one commodity, concentrate on that, nothing else, to keep it really simple. All these extra lines here are just to point out areas of interest to watch out, why price could actually bounce or break these areas. Like, for example, if I was in this trade, that was a sell, you may feel it prudent if that was a sell condition and price went down to there, you may feel it prudent to put your stop loss to your entry in case it bounced or break. Well, this time it actually bounced off the line, as you can see. Doesn't always happen like that. Like I say, nothing's ever written in stone. Just gives you a sense of why price does what it does and to be a bit more wary. But having said that, as I often say, once you've placed your trade, accept a 1% loss or a 2% gain, because a 1% loss is no big deal, really isn't. But right now, I'm looking for a cellular, obviously, and this is where my floating stop loss at the moment, with a minimum of 2.2 pips away. But where price was there, that's where the stop loss would be in anticipation of the wave turning red. Price would be down here with and red, cellular, and away we go. But we've gone into sideways movement at the moment. And also we have a don't know. We have a small profit target to go for. We just don't carry on all the month because it's psychological. So I only have a 10% profit target for the month. Once I've reached that, I don't trade anymore. Well, I do, obviously, to demonstrate this, but in the real world, I wouldn't be trading anymore that week, that month, the rest of that month, for however long it is. Sometimes I have the last week off. Sometimes I'm trading up to the very last day, trying to get that 10%. And sometimes it doesn't get to 10%. Most months it does. And every month we've been doing this since February 2024 has turned to profit. Most months I get my 10%, but some months are trickier than others because I pick the best times to trade, the best, what I think is the best scenarios, and only trading one or twice a day, and sometimes I don't even trade that day. It's all about maintaining a mental your outlook. And 10% is all you need to set you free on link outsides. And if you want to upscale, you don't trade more. What you do is I don't wish to really get into, but there are ways of copying your trades onto other accounts. So you just copy your trade onto another account, and then you can build that account up and scale up. So that's how you can scale up. But the Academy 55 system is designed to help you pass your prop firm challenge, which is done several times. Got all the results in the journal. And if you're an Academy 55 member, you get to look at that journal, and you get to make it your own if you want to by deleting all the information and replacing it with your own, and make your own journal, do your own back testing. We encourage back testing. But right now, as you can see, price is on that wave. The green trend line is going to, if you can imagine a clock face, it's pointing at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's going horizontal. So that could turn red at any time if price gets down to here. All of a sudden we've got a scenario where that wave would be red. The volume ribbon is already red. and that could go red. All we need now is the sell alert, and we'd be in a sell trade. And all we have to do really is wait and see how price plays out. It might be that they're picking up orders, because this is what sideways is, really picking up orders. And then if there's enough buy orders, obviously it'll go for a much longer high. But if it does, we can't follow, because the next alert we can only follow is because it goes by. Hang on, let's show you on the trading view, because it's a lot easier to manipulate. See, that's how it works. We got sell alert, buy alert, sell alert, buy alert. So the next one is a sell. And we wouldn't want to take a buy anyway, because we know there is a sell zone there. So you wouldn't have the confidence to be able to think you're going to get very far, because you're going into the sell zone. So even if you did take a buy here, when price gets here, you know you're into sell zone territory. And incidentally, I like sometimes going back onto the 5 minute, because these sell zones and buy zones disappear and they draw new ones. So don't always assume that's going to be it. Sometimes they do change, like a sell zone could appear. If we have this situation a lot longer here, that's another sell zone might draw itself here. So always keep looking on the 5 minute as well. But this is where we are at the moment. And like I said before, if we don't get a trade, no big deal, because we got such a low monthly target to aim for that if I don't trade today, no problem. I mean, from my journal, I can see that I'm just over 4% on my monthly target now. But we teach you to pass your prop firm challenge with this system, and ultimately you want to get a prop firm account, and on $100,000 prop firm account, that 4% is $4,000. You get 80% of that, which takes you down to, oh God, maths this early in the morning. I haven't got a calculator. Is about $3,200, which in the UK money is about 2,800, something like that. So that 4% represents about £2,800 on $100,000 account. And as you can appreciate, that is the majority of the people in the UK's monthly wage. So, and I haven't finished yet. So, and like I said before, once you get really, really into this, you have the possibility of scaling up by introducing other prop firm accounts, by copying your trades. But we're not here to get into that, but that's something that can be done. So you don't increase the amount of trades you're doing, you increase your accounts, still taking the same trades but copying them. Makes sense, right? But at the moment, as you can see, we are They're taking orders, taking orders, taking orders. This happens 80% of the time, so we shouldn't be too disappointed that this is happening, because this is expected. This is what happens. Yeah, coming off MT4 again, because back onto trading view, we've got the exact same indicators as you can see. So we're waiting for a nice sell alert. If there's enough sell orders here, hopefully there'll be enough sell orders to make it whoop down and get our 2%. And obviously it's going to come down to there for the parallel to flip above price. Trend line turning red, nice sell alert. Wave turning red, that's where the stop loss will be. But that may or may not happen in our time together. Repetition, doing things over and over again, you learn to look for all these things over time, and they pop out at you automatically. When you first start, it is a challenge, but if you do things repetitively, that's when it gets easier. Experience. So now what I'm going to do is, because it's playing around, I've opened the chats up. So if anybody's got anything they'd like to say about what they're seeing here and what I've been talking about, please feel free to chat to me here or on YouTube, because I will turn over to my YouTube page, because I can see if there's any questions in the chat box on the YouTube as well. And also all my Academy 55 fellow members. If you have anything you'd like to talk about what we talked about this morning or what you've seen, please feel free to put something in the chat, and we'll go from there. But the longer this carries on, the more orders they are taking. It's either going to go that way or that way, but we don't know how long this is going to go for. Obviously, like I say, we trade what we see, not what we think. But we know that this is caused by them taking orders one way or the other. In the back office of Academy 55, we show you how to backtest this using TradingView, and I recommend you backtest as much as possible. Get your own results in the journal that's there for you to make it your own. Put your backtest results in the journal, and get used to going for the green, green, green for the buy, or the red, red, red for the sell. Watch for recognize imbalance, and also learn to recognize when it's just best to watch rather than trade. Because like I said, the pressure is off you. You don't have to trade. Because you only need 1 or 2 trades a day. You don't have to trade. So if you're in any doubt whatsoever, like we've got the red trend line there. So we've got a red volume ribbon, red trend line. Obviously, price has got to go down to here at least for that to go red. And then by then, if it did do that, by then we would get a sell alert. And then all of a sudden we could be in a sell trade. But like I say, everything's fluid, nothing written in stone. But just understanding why price does or capable of doing certain things and why it does that gives you a bit more of a understanding and a bit more knowledge. But the Academy 55 is designed ultimately for you not to worry too much about that. But seeing these external things does help you be a bit more picky about the trades that you do take. And also the recognition of the fact that we only trade once or twice a day takes that pressure off you to be able to want to trade, you know? The only pressure is the one that you've got in your home life. If you have to go to work or you have to be somewhere else, you can't be at your screen for whatever reason. But even then, you must recognize, well, it would be more prudent for you to come back at a more convenient time for yourself, either later on in the day or maybe even tomorrow, because we've got such a low monthly percentage to go for. These things are possible. You can't trade properly by putting pressure on yourself like that. It just or you open up your mentality to all other sorts of things like greed, and even on the minute time frame, it's possible to trade with a relaxed state and be as confident as you can in your trading, even on the minute time frame. But if you put pressure on yourself, external pressure, oh, I've got to get a trade in because I've got to go to work in a minute and all that. You put pressure on yourself, that's when mistakes invariably happen, and you'll just crumble eventually. You might get away with it for a few trades, but ultimately, it's not a long term. It isn't viable in the long term to trade like that. Trust me, I've done it. But so, although we are been picking up orders, we've obviously got a lot more buy orders, so we could be continuing on this buy trajectory. Maybe going to this line may not be 100% accurate, and it might be just down there, and we've reached that line again. Look, will it bounce or break it and go into where there are more sell orders up here? Because this is the sell zone. There we go. So although we are taking orders, there are more buy orders to take. So at the minute, it looks that we will be getting into this, maybe getting into the sell zone and possibly getting into this imbalance area that we know is up there, tapping into it before coming back down again. That may be a scenario that happens. These things sometimes are time dependent also. But every day is different. Nothing is, I mean, if it was, the success rate of traders would be phenomenal going through the roof if it was all the same every day. And it's just not like that. So I think at the moment it looks like we're going to go even higher. I'm reluctant to say these things really because one never knows. I mean, a big whale might come in, decide to buck the trend, and invest a lot of money in a sell, and all of a sudden goes woof down for whatever reason. And we don't know those reasons, obviously. We're just following in the footprints of what's happening. Like a I just saw another analogy, like a surfer. I watch a lot of surfing where I live. Never done it myself. I've done bodyboarding, but anyway, a surfer will wait. The best time to get surfing is when you're on the crest of the wave, when the wave is just starting to break. But they do that in an anticipation of the wave keep breaking, 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 getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And that is very similar to what we're doing. But as you can see, it now reacting off that line that we drew earlier on. But we've had enough volume. If there's enough buy orders here, it'll go through that and then take you up to the sell zone. And this time of day, a lot of the times is the time of day when a trend starts to happen. That's why I like to trade this time of day between 7 and 9 UK time. Because if there is a higher trend going on or a lower trend going on, it's usually between 7 and 9 when you can see that a lot more clearer. Not always. So we go back to our MT4. And we're waiting. At this stage, another scenario that could be happening, I'm not saying it is, but what could be happening is the bankers are disseminating any future news and deciding whether it's good news for the dollar, bad news for the dollar, good news for the euro, bad news for the euro, and acting accordingly, waiting for little bits of information to come in, and all the time taking orders, as we can see with this sideways movement, before making a move. Like I say, all these things we don't know, but these are things that goes on in the background. And it could be something like there's a big meeting happening at 9 o'clock. Not saying there is, or 9:15, or whatever time, and the, the discussions of that behind closed doors meeting will determine what they're going to do. You know, we don't know this, obviously, but these are things that happen. Now we've got a red trend line. The parallels are flipped above. But that doesn't mean much because it flipped up there, look, because we've got all this sideways stuff to concentrate on. But the buy alerts and the sell alerts only appear when there's certain algorithms enough for them to happen, and they are very good actually. So you've got to be guided by the sell alerts and the buy alerts. Dejan is asking on YouTube, what's my current percentage for this month? Um, as I always say, it doesn't really, for the live trading, yeah, but what you do, what you do for your month is more important, but I'll share that with you. It's all about being, oh, I don't know, can I? Very, very quick then. Okay, so um, at the moment we're on 4.4%. Sorry about this, but I've got to be very quick because we're at a stage where we might be, yeah, 4.4% at the moment. And that's for all the Academy 55 members to see because they can see that journal. And like I said, they delete the information and they can make that their own, make a copy of it and use it side by side if you want to. But I encourage everybody to make their own journal. Their own results are more important than my results. Right, so powers are above, got a red trend. It's all this movement here is that could go on for quite a while, really. But all of a sudden, we might find price down here and away we go. Now there we go. So we are heading north again. And like I say, we can take a buy because the next alert we're waiting for is a sell. In all the viewers on YouTube, I've just placed you can go watch a recorded webinar. Tells you a lot more about Academy 55 and its intervention and what we're all about. Gives you a bit more of insight. But there we go. Because it's broken that trend now, that support and resistance line, I would suggest that they are possibly going up to visit these areas up here before having a retrace and coming down to here. Like I said, I shouldn't. Nobody can be too sure about this, but send a tracer up there. All the buyers went up there and thought, oh, yeah, oh, we're in this new zone now. Not too sure about this at the moment. But am I worried that I didn't get to have a trade? Certainly not. I'm really pleased. And why am I pleased? Because I didn't lose any money. Kept my powder dry, knew exactly, well, not exactly, but I know I can see what's happening. Taking orders, but all the while still going up a little bit. Got a sell zone up there. So I know there's more sell orders up here. So I wouldn't want to be taking any buys anyway, because it could be short-lived. But I'm really pleased. I haven't lost any money. So what I could do now is think about possibly coming back later on today, using the same old scenario, waiting for in the 5-minute time frame, waiting for price to get into the zones like it did there, and then taking the next buy, or waiting for it to go there and taking the next sell, or possibly even going over to the US 100 later on this afternoon, depending on my lifestyle, and being happy with the fact that I didn't lose any money. Which is the most important thing. So please Google that Jackson Hole Symposium and just watch the charts on Thursday or Friday to see how volatile the whole thing could get because of these bankers from around the world having a big conference discussing the future, no doubt, and what's going to become of it. But for traders, it's prudent to stay away. Oh, but there we go. Getting into these sell zones now, which is what we call an order block, because you know there's some sell orders here to take, and they know that they need to get there eventually. I mean, there's no saying when that is going to happen, but they got to get there eventually to equalize the balance the charts. So that's got to happen eventually. And who's to say they might do that now, tap into there and come back down again, and then come down here and get some more sell orders in this sell zone up here. We don't know. But that's something you can see if you stare at the screen long enough. But if you don't wish to wait for these things to happen, what you do is you mark the zones up like I've done here. And what you do is you right click and you can add an alert. So a little pop-up will come up on your screen or even an email to let you know the price has been into one of these zones. So therefore you go back. So now you know to take the next sell because you've been into the sell zone and you've got more confluence of a sell. But we could still have more of this action because, like I said, this happens 80% of the time. But we're in no rush, are we? Because we got a very low monthly percentage target to go for. You only need to trade once or twice a day. So there's no rush at all in to trade. Pick the best times for you, best conditions from your experience, and go from there. Right, so we have a situation where I've been on for over an hour now. No questions as far as I can see. Well, I've answered everything I can see. And so this is where we are now, waiting for the next sell alert. I have my life stuff to do. So I will be maybe coming back later on today if time allows it. Look at the NAS 100 or also known as the US 100. So I will say goodbye for the moment and see you all again tomorrow. Thanks very much for being here. Great day today. We didn't lose any money. That's the way I look at it. See you later. Cheers for now. Bye.